Okay, cool. So welcome to our weekly team call. If you've come on, if you could just mute yourself, that would be such a huge help. I'm just going through muting some of you now, just so we can hear Allan and Lari really clearly. I'm so excited because this week we want to try something a little bit different. We've been doing so much incredible training, but you know, sometimes it's just so inspiring to hear somebody's story, and that's really what this business is all about, is sharing your own story, sharing other people's story to cast a vision. So I am so excited that this week, I think this is actually PJ's idea, but we thought, let's interview Allan and Lari, because there's so many of you who, you know, you might be working with me, you might be working with PJ or Maddie or Dan, and you don't actually know the other leaders in this group. And you actually probably hear a lot of us talk about Allan and Lari, but you may not actually know who they are, like this mythical creature that we talk about all the time. So I thought, or actually PJ thought, I stole his idea, it'd be so incredible to interview Allan and Lari, and so that you guys can really get to know who they are, because Allan and Lari have played such a huge role in, I mean, the funny thing is I'm seeing so many faces on this call, you're going, I don't even know who you are, Crystal. That's cool too. But Allan and Lari have, you know, played such a huge role in mentoring Bruce and I, and obviously we've mentored Bruce and PJ, but so have Allan and Lari, so and Maddie. So we're the kind of leadership team has spent so much time with Allan and Lari, and they've played a huge role in all of us building up our belief in ourselves, in this company, in network marketing. So we want to share all of that with you. We don't want to hide them away. We want to make sure that you all know who they are, so that you can be mentored and grow, you know, grow with, what's what I'm looking for? Grow while Allan and Lari are there showing you the way. So I'm going to introduce them. I've actually got like the longest A4 piece of paper. I asked like all of the things that they've done in Isagenix, like this, just to give you some idea. But I am going to read them because I want to, you know, obviously show you how much success they've had, but I also want to show you how normal Allan and Lari are. So what I'm about to read out can be so incredible, and it is. But they are just I actually described to somebody today that they're average people doing extraordinary things, and I want to share with you what they're doing, but also share where they were before they started Isagenix. So I'm going to get them to, so you guys can see that, you know, they're not some come from this background of network marketing. They were just your average people who put in the work and learned the skills and have created something extraordinary, which means that every single one of us on this call, myself included, we can all relate to that, and gives us hope and belief that we can also, you know, if we put in the work, we can achieve great things. So for you guys who don't know, Allan and Lari, just give a wave so you can see Allan and Lari, give a wave. That's Allan and Lari. They're from the Gold Coast. So they started, this is actually coming up to their 4-year anniversary in Isagenix. It's been 4 years. I mean, so since every year since they've started, they've actually placed in the top 25 income earners within Australia and New Zealand, which is just incredible. They're currently sitting at 13th in Australia and New Zealand, which is just incredible when you know that there's 500,000 plus associates. I mean, they've won just about everything. So they've won Spirit of Isagenix, Global Impact Business, top businesses within ANZ and New Zealand. They've won 7 out of 7 ISA Derbies, which means they've been to Cambodia. This is all free trips they've won with Isagenix. Cambodia, Hawaii, Vegas multiple times, Borneo. Where did we just go? Vegas again, Disneyland. So, I mean, they really have worked hard, and they've got all the accolades to, you know, show that they've really put in the work. And this past year, Allan has actually, which is such an honour for Allan, and it shows a real testament to how much he's given back to the Isagenix community. He was actually asked to be on the field advisory board for Isagenix Corporate, which is a huge honour, which means that he played a big role in the last 12 months in creating what happened in Australia in terms of policy, procedure, and what was best for the associates in the field, like each of us. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome the beautiful Allan and Lari to our team call, and we're so grateful to have you on.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for inviting
Crystal.
us.
And for the lovely introduction.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I take for granted, like we speak all the time, we get to spend a lot of time together, we've spent a lot of time together. I do take for granted what it means to somebody new coming in to be able to really get to know you guys and know that they're connected to you guys. So I have got 3 pages of questions, and we're going to do, I know both Allan and Lari do like to chat just like I do, so we'll probably get through about 5 of them, but we're going to do our very best. So what I really wanted you guys to share with everyone, because for a lot of people, they've heard about you, but they don't know you as intimately as some of us do. So I would really like you guys to share, like, what was life like before Isagenix? Like, who were you guys before you actually bought your pack? What was everyday life like? And what were some of the things that were going on for you guys?
Awesome. Alrighty. So before Isagenix, before Isagenix, we spent 10 years living, I spent 10 years living in Japan, and Allan was working at the casino in Brisbane and then the Gold Coast. And we met years, when we were 20 or something. But anyway, we moved back to Australia, and from the moment we got back to Australia, we're like, how do people afford to live with families here? This is just ridiculously expensive. And we were sort of searching for a way to live a good lifestyle, and having, gone to university and done all the right things and, done the executive roles and that sort of thing, we're kind of like, well, what's this all about? Like, where do we go? And we were doing a bit of personal development. And we ran into some misfortune, or perhaps it was opportunity disguised, where we lost a lot of money, and our house that we bought when we were 20 was trashed. So we literally found ourselves in, now we can calculate it was probably about $250,000 of debt. And we put our foot down on the universe. Originally we felt sorry for ourselves for a bit. And then we put our foot down on the universe and said, we're the only people we can rely on. We've got to get ourselves out of here, out of this problem. And so we literally sold everything we owned, and we got into an eBay business. Both of us were working full time. So Allan was the CEO of Gold Coast Basketball. He can tell you a little bit about that. And I was working as a teacher at school, and we had 2 little girls at that time. Now they're 9 and 7, but they were little at the time, and I didn't want to work. It was so tough. Allan at Gold Coast Basketball, it was literally 24/7 work. And, I'd be dropping the kids off at daycare at 6 o'clock and picking them up at 6 o'clock, and I just felt rotten. And I don't know if any of you mothers on this call can relate to it, but it would just tear me up. I hated it. I wasn't getting to know my children, and having lost our son prior, I was like, I don't want to factory my kids out to childcare centres. And but because of the debt we were in, we had no choice but to make things happen. So so we built businesses. We went and did personal training, decided that we needed to change our money mindset. So we did a lot of personal development around that. Literally read, 50 odd books in 1 year, just trying to cram my mind with better stuff to get my mindset right. And then we went to work in the ways that we knew best. So we got an eBay business going, and it was quite successful. And we both worked, as full time as well. So we're pretty busy with all of that. And I remember in December, just before we started Isagenix, it was 2 a.m. in the morning.
At that point, sorry, just to interrupt, I didn't want to interrupt, but at that point, just so you guys know, to show what's possible as well, is that we were working, as Lari said, both full-time. The eBay business was taking up a significant amount of time, but it was going well. So it was starting to chip into some of our debts, and we just launched a sports tour company as well. So we had 2 outside businesses. We're both working full-time. We had the kids. And December was the busiest period for us on eBay, because we used to sell glassware, dinnerware, homeware, and leading into Christmas, everyone wanted to buy. So back to you.
No, that's cool. And I remember walking out to
a garage, which had $100,000 worth of stock.
Which had all our stock. So everything we made, we invested back into our business and built up more stock. So we could see the light. We're going to get ourselves out of this debt, but it was still a long way, right? And I remember thinking, if I take one more step, I'm literally going to faint. This has got to be adrenal fatigue. This has got to be, this is serious. My body can't handle this anymore. And, it was maybe coincidental, but then in steps Isagenix in January, and it was purely just because we wanted to get on top of our weight, because we both had put on a bit of kilos.
We were just working. It was work.
And
for me,
stress.
it was walk to the vending machine, stretch, walk back.
You can tell the rest of the story now. I've talked to.
Can you guys?
No, that's cool. So that's pretty much it. I suppose in our own minds, get healthy, have the energy to be able to actually run our businesses. And we were told at the start when we started Isagenix by Jackson, who enrolled us, that there was a great business opportunity. And when I heard business opportunity, my mind just went like, if you guys can imagine doing all of the stuff we're already doing, we were just like, it kind of made me sick at the thought of even having remotely even thinking about another business at that point. So we didn't touch anything to do with the business. We went 30 days and just fell in love with the products. And after we fell in love with the products, we naturally shared with a few people. We weren't going to share. However, Jackson's kind of put it to us and said, look, how would you feel if I didn't share with you guys? And we were like, it's a great point. We feel amazing. We've never felt, more alive, and everything felt really positive. So we shared just with a few people that had been asking us what to do. Jackson helped us out. And from there, we turned up to an event. And when we turned up to the event, we literally looked around at some of the people and gone, wow, this actually may be a better way. Like, we've got to be open to this. We can't be shutting our minds off just because we've got businesses that are going okay, that we can't be closed-minded to this. And as the weekend unfolded at the event, we were like, we met more people and more people and more people. And then we realized that this was going to be our opportunity to really create that freedom. And after celebration, we just got to work, and that was pretty much it.
And we did. I mean, but it's not the end of the story. It was messy. It was hard. It was difficult with all these businesses. We did have a huge falling out with our business partners and gave them the business, all our investment of money and time that we actually put into it. So, I'm not saying it was an easy run from there at all. It was challenging in a lot of different ways. And eBay business, it all became too much, very overwhelming. Even with Isagenix, you still do need to rest your body. So, but yeah, it's interesting. We started for weight loss, but the energy and the vitality and the life it gave us back, even the mental clarity to be able to work more effectively at our jobs, was phenomenal as well. So that's a kind of a mixture, I guess. Hopefully that covers a bit of everything in relation to our story. And I mean, fast forward now, we've been using the products for 4 years.
Yep.
I cannot believe your body, I know, Crystal, you've been using them for a while now, but I cannot believe, I'm looking younger than when I started originally using the products. I don't go a day. I did go through stages of not taking the products, and I didn't lie to myself. I always had something, but I was, I'm shocked. I can't go without it now. I absolutely love it. It's become my health is just so good. So I'm loving the products even more 4 years on. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's so good to hear your story. I mean, I know your story, but it's so empowering for other people to hear that you guys were, you guys are struggling. You know what I mean? You're in massive amount of debt. And you had to really build all these businesses trying to get out of it. It wasn't even peaches and cream when you started ISA. You know what I mean? You were so exhausted and so tired. So the thought of, because I think a lot of people there, like you guys, they're busy. They may own their own business. They may not, but they might just be working full time for somebody. They might have kids, and it's just like, they're just seeing their partner in the corridor, in the hallways each night. And the thought of, even though when we cast the vision for people of what's possible with Isagenix, that sounds amazing, but I am so exhausted and so busy. I can't even fathom, you know what I mean, having a conversation with another human being about this. So it's interesting. And I'd love to know on that for you guys, I mean, in the beginning stages for you, I know that you went to an event. That was a key thing. You were intrigued, so you went to an event. You took the leap and went to an event, and that really cast the vision. But in the early days for you guys, two things is, what did you do to build this business? I mean, you're earning, upwards of $750,000 a year now, but in the beginning, for the new people on this call, what were the day-to-day things that you were doing that actually created that momentum? And really, how did you start sharing? What was how did you do it?
Great question. I would say the first thing was leading into it. I suppose we were fortunate that we weren't scared of the hard work. So it was kind of when we went to the event and saw the vision of what was possible, when we saw the people on stage and we actually talked to some people around us and met people, and we realized these are everyday people. The one thing in our minds we left was, in our own minds, we knew we were willing to work hard.
But we were scared too. Like, we had lived in Japan for such an extended period of time, and we were concerned, you know, maybe we don't have the network. I had 200 people on Facebook, you know, like, and I was pretty, because we were working so much all of the time, our network was pretty limited, actually.
Our work network was our network, so to speak, like our current network, even on Facebook and stuff.
And so we had to kind of get rid of that voice in our head too, saying, oh, if only we went to Japan, or if only, you know, which I know a lot of people have that chatter in their head, but it was like, you know what, if we can't make it work here now with what we've got, then it's never going to work. So we kind of used the resources we had. And I always remember, as soon as we left, we set our goals, leaving leaving the celebration. And we got in the car and we literally started straight away. So we'd use all the net time, so no extra time, so driving in the car to get busy working. And we made a list of all the people that we wanted to contact about it. So we really just started by following isagenixbusiness.com, which literally just come out at the time. And we followed their steps in what they recommended to build the business.
And even more so, like I know Lari's talking about the actual logistics of it. I think the difference maker is, because people are always saying that to us, like, you guys really smashed this business out. And not that anyone has to even remotely do anything like the amount of time and effort that we did put in. I mean, obviously, if you want to create that kind of income that we now have, we're so grateful that we did put that time and energy in. Is that, as I was saying before, like, we weren't afraid of hard work. Like, we had to bust our asses, for want of a better term, to be getting just to where we were over the last few years to even have a light at the end of the tunnel. And all of a sudden, here is Isagenix, and it's got this massive vision. And we didn't, again, our goal wasn't to try and earn $500,000, $750,000, $1 million a year. Our goal was just to retire each other from our jobs. That was it. And we were willing to, in our mindset when we left, it was like, if in 5 years' time we can both be retired from our jobs and have either got the debts paid off or be really close to having the debts paid off, this would be a massive, massive win. And we were willing to literally put everything on the line as far as time, energy, hustle, work ethic for that. Now, as you guys obviously heard from Crystal, fast forward, it's a hell of a lot more than that. Our debts are completely gone. We earn an income that we could only have ever dreamed of earning previously, and it's continuing to grow. So I think that was the biggest thing, was we weren't afraid from the work, because I think so many people, and I listen to it all the time, are talking about the pain that they have. You listen to what Lari said, is that we were hurting. Like, even at that point, with the finances starting to get back on track with the light at the end of the tunnel.
I still believed through eBay, even before we started Isagenix, I still believed we were back on track. So we did have a mindset.
We're on the right path.
We'll get there.
But as far as relationships with ourselves, with each other, with our kids, we didn't have them because we were working 24/7. So we were like, you know what, we don't have it now, so let's spend the next few years doing what we're doing, but at least it's going to create in the future the time, the choice, the freedom, and create a legacy for our kids. So that was pretty much it. I contacted everyone. Like, I literally, when I wrote down my master list, I vowed that I would contact everyone as quick as I possibly could, and I did, because I was like, do I want this or don't I want this? And that was really the difference maker between us and, you know, every other, however many thousands of people that started Isagenix at the same time as us or within the same time frame, as to why we've created that income. Some of them have made great incomes as well, but I think that was really the difference maker, Crystal, was we were willing to just give it everything and work out, like, literally whenever we had spare minutes, we were just working.
Allan, you said that you wrote down this list of, so you basically caught the vision at going to Celebration, which is an event everyone on this call should be really planning to attend, which is in March. I know I've spoken to a few about it. It will change it. I mean, it'll just answer any question you have, any doubt you have, whether this is the right fit, what to do, you'll know as soon as you've attended that event. So Angie's nodding her head because she's like, Crystal's been hassling me about Celebration in March already. And it's like, I started in September, so it's like 6 months out or something. But you said that you wrote a list. So just for people on the call, so you just basically pen to paper, started writing out, getting from your head onto paper who you knew. You didn't judge them. You didn't think about they would want it, they're already skinny or this or that. You just got your names on paper, which is step one, write a master list. But then you said you started contacting them. Just, can you talk about, like, which is great, but like for a new person, like what did you say? Like what were you saying to these people?
It depended, and like, you might want to.
No,
Larry did a little bit different to me as well, which is really cool, so you guys can hear that. But for me, it was like the first thing was writing out the list, and then straight away as well, I went to find. So as Larry said, we hadn't really reconnected with any of our networks. So the network we had was our inner network of our work and stuff like that. So at the same time as writing the list, we just went on a Facebook frenzy of adding people and finding people, and that was through things like friends of friends. So we would
old school photos or
whatever it happened to be, network. So we would, one of the things that Lari did slightly different to me, which I adjusted to, was she wrote down all her networks first, and I started writing down all my people. But then I realized that by having your networks there, you can actually just focus in on a network. So let's say it's high school. So let's say, Crystal, you and I went to high school together, and I was currently Facebook friends with you. I would click on your profile and look at your friends and then start scrolling your friends to trigger all the different names that I wasn't currently friends with on Facebook. So, and as I was what I would do is I would send them a friend request and write them down on my list. And then as they accepted my friend request, that's when I would also send them a message. Sometimes I would send them before, but I was trying to really build that list up at the same time. So once we got that list built.
Actually, Allan went on a Facebook adding frenzy and he got closed down twice. I don't recommend doing that.
No, but it was only like, I was so determined to add people to my list. I just went into my old Gold Coast basketball network and literally sent 2,000 friend requests to every single person I'd ever known or met through basketball. And like, they didn't know me. So at that stage with Facebook, quite often it will, like when you're talking 4 years ago and you got a friend request, people were only really adding people that they knew, if that makes sense. Kind of these days, yeah, is a little bit more liberal, fast forwarding, which is great for building this business. It's even better now. So I had a lot of people reject me, and then I got shut down on Facebook, and I had to delete all those requests and just make sure I.
But these days you could do the same thing on Insta, and people could see you that way. Like you get a big reach that way, so it could still work. Yeah.
And then from there, I was looking to create, and because we'd done a lot of personal development, and we knew that even though we're on social media, that if we could create a state change in people via social media, that the outcome becomes different. And what I mean by that, and I haven't really talked about it too much, but this was always the mentality, was I was always trying to create a happy feeling and a happy connection with people, or a connection where they really wanted to respond to me. So let's say, for an example, if you got a text message right now from me, right? And a text message comes through, or let's just pretend a text message comes through. How do you normally answer your text message? It's like, oh, another text message, right? So it's like a Facebook message or a text message comes through and it's like, oh yeah. And kind of like we go through the motions with it, correct? However, if I could get somebody to slightly be happy or change their state, then I knew I was also going to be in a great position to get into a great conversation, build a relationship. So I was all about numbers, and all I was trying to do was create relationships through social media that I could then move off social media. So I would send things like, let's say, Crystal, let's say we'd had some kind of memory, some kind of funny experience, some kind of crazy experience, some kind of trouble, whatever it happened to be. I would just make light of it, and I would send it to you, and I'd be like, hey, Crystal, hey, remember that time that we were at the disco and you tried to pash me, you know, whatever, anything, right? Instantly, irrelevant of what it is, you're just like, you idiot. Like, but as you're doing that, you kind of change your state, right? And then you start responding back, and next thing you know, we're in a conversation. So my whole goal was just to connect with every single person I possibly could. And at the same time, I was posting on my Facebook a lot more positivity stuff about myself, about what I was doing with Isagenix without it being Isagenix, just creating some curiosity in the goal that people would actually ask me. So in that conversation, I would just drop little seeds. So whatever it happened to be, they would ask me. And all I was doing was just using a law of reciprocation, which for you guys that have heard Lari and I train on before, we'll harp on about it, which was just every question I asked, my hope and goal was that they would ask the question back. And it was as simple as that. And when they did, I would drop the smaller seed in the hope that they would ask more information either on that, or as we're in the conversation, they'd be like, hey, by the way, I saw you like talking about the energy, or I saw you losing weight. And that was pretty much, it was not any more complicated than that. The one thing that I think Larry and I did different to what a lot of people that may do something similar is when they asked, we didn't hold back. So it's kind of like people ask and then they start freaking out. They're like trying to, oh, what do I do here? And they avoid it. We were just like, bang, they asked us. I'm telling you, if you ask me, I'm giving you the information. And we gave them the information and we exposed them to what Isagenix was about. And a lot of people, I think that's a big issue, is that someone will say, oh, yeah, you know, I've been wanting to lose weight. And then they don't actually even tell them about Isagenix, so they try and drag it along. But we would just tell them about it at the same time as talking about how we got deeper into the conversation. So that was pretty much how it was. We've obviously got better at the conversation. We sucked at the start. But
yeah, we've just had so many conversations. And that's really possibly what it comes down to too, Crystal. Like the amount of conversations that went really bad or poor, or I don't even try to think about them really. Like,
but none of them are bad relationships.
No, but it was all learning. Yeah. Like actually, Allan and I used to practice conversations. Even we'd go to supermarkets and practice having a conversation with absolutely no intention of signing anybody up. But then one day, I was at Coles and I got into a conversation and this guy actually asked me, what do you do? And I'm like, oh my God, he asked me. It worked right straight into it. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm really passionate about sharing this nutritional program and rah-de-rah. And he goes, oh, is that Isagenix stuff? Oh, there was a guy in here the other day that was talking about that. And it was Allan.
I love it. I always share that story because I always think that that's such a, I mean, I know I am not going to supermarkets practicing just connecting with strangers. And I think that to me, it's like, a lot of people compare. Like I actually have never really compared myself to Allan and Lari because I actually know what they've done to build their business and I know that I haven't done. So it's so funny. Like I'll compare myself to somebody else in Isagenix, but not Allan and Lari because I actually know what they've done. So I can't compare myself because we've put in different amounts of effort and work. I'm not going to shopping centres, stopping strangers, trying to connect with them. I haven't done that. So, which I think says a lot about where you guys are and how much growth you've had in your business. I wanted to ask you, Allan, you know, you spoke a lot about like you weren't afraid of the work, which I just totally admire because when people ask me that question, I'm like, I am not afraid of hard work. Like, in fact, if anything, I strive on it. It builds my confidence. It's how I've been brought up. So I think that is such an attribute that is so necessary. Even when you start, you might be exhausted and tired and think there's no way I have any time to do X, Y, Z. But that hard, strong work ethic is so important. But I want to ask you, what are your top 3 attributes that you think a person needs in order to have success in Isagenix, network marketing, what have you?
Good question.
Top 3 attributes.
I'll give you time to think. For me, it would be
resiliency.
Yeah.
Resiliency.
There you go, Lari can go first.
Sorry.
Resilience.
That is one. So if you get knocked down, that you get back up again and you get up stronger. Or if you didn't get up stronger, you recognize I didn't get up stronger, but why didn't I? And you're reflective and you move forward. That's all. You know what? If my kids get through school and they build any amount of resiliency, I just think it's lacking in today's day and age because everybody's like, I've got a bad boss, so I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to go to a new company. And then ironically, it's almost like their twin sister boss is working at the new company. Like and then they repeat the same mistakes again. And I just think people need more resiliency. There's this big focus on bullies and things like that. I think if kids learn to be more resilient, don't get me wrong, bullying is bad, but if kids learn more resiliency, they'd be able to deal with the bullying much better. And I can say this because I was badly bullied and thrown in PE rooms and all sorts of things when I was little, locked in there and stuff like that. So don't get me wrong. And I know it's sad that it's happening, but it did build resiliency in me. But I do believe people do need more resiliency. Here you go, there's one.
That's a nice one too, isn't it? Because even for me as a basketball coach, it used to frustrate me when kids would play and there's no score on the board. Coming from when we were in Japan, it was like if you were up 100-0 in a game in Japan and as the coach, you made all of your kids stop, the opposition coach would get upset because it's like disrespectful, so to speak. And I think that, you know, society these days is creating, I'm with Lari, I think society these days is creating like every child wins a prize. The fact of the matter is every child doesn't win a prize, and the quicker that you realise you don't win a prize, you may actually try to win a prize.
Yeah, so you don't want to come to one of our birthday parties, because when we play Pass the Parcel, only one kid wins, not every kid, okay?
And then we tease the kid that cries. No, we don't know that. No, we don't know. Resiliency is an awesome one. But for me...
Chris was like, you're digging yourself into a hole.
No, we're just joking. I would say two things kind of link. One is that you're coachable. And to me, coachable does not mean that when I, Lari, Crystal, PJ, Bruce, whoever, Bruce, reach out to you, that you're open to it. Coachable to me means that you are dying to learn. So when I used to coach basketball, I didn't care what talent that person had. When I was selecting sides, there was always one or two kids that would be the first kids that would turn up before the trials, and they'd be the last kids to leave, and I would always pick them because I knew that they were going to be the most coachable kids because they were desperate to learn, desperate to get better. They would be the same kids that throughout the training would come up and ask for help. They would reach out. So to me, number one would be that you're coachable. Because if you're coachable, we know who the most coachable people are because we're continually getting messages from them. It's not the person that when we reach out to them, they're like, okay, I'll do it. Maddie's a great example sitting on this call up the top, one of the most coachable people you'll ever meet. And the reason that she's succeeding in Isagenix, she's continually reached out, asked, not afraid to turn around and go, and you know what, sometimes she might send a message and say, hey, I know you guys are really busy, and if you don't respond, that's okay. But I'd love to ask you this. And it's like, it's just the way that you ask it. And it's like, we'd never, ever not respond to that, or we'd never, ever not want to coach somebody like that. So I think that's, to me, is a massive one. And then the second one is that you're willing to do the work. As you said, if you're not willing to do the work, the fact of the matter is, this business is, and I'm not saying you have to do the work at the start. You can spend, you can be slow and steady learning. At some stage, you have to do the time and the energy in a small period of time. You have to actually go hard to create some momentum in this business. If you're just going to be slow and steady for 10 years, in 10 years' time, it's still going to be slow and steady. It's cool to be slow and steady at the start as you're building it up. You might be getting those cycles going. I'm not saying everybody has to go fast. We've got people in our business that have just been slow and steady for 3 years. They've now built up some cycles. They've now gained the confidence, and all of a sudden they're exploding their businesses because they're now actually really giving it some. So it's not like you have to do that from day one, but at some stage you have to be willing to do the actual work more than just sending a few conversations and answering a few texts. So it'd be, and I'm with Lari, I think resilience is phenomenal.
Yeah, I would also agree with those three. And Maddie's like the most coachable person ever. And just to give you an idea of why I really admire Maddie is that she actually came from another network marketing company. So she's a mother. She's got a very successful career. She came from another network marketing company, and she enrolled with me, her friend, who used to manage the clothing shop. And when I was managing the clothing shop, yes, Maddie was one of my employees, but she was studying at university and higher paid than, you know what I mean? So she come from a different level of learning than I did. And yet she enrolled with me, and she could have had ego and been like, I've been to university, I know this, I've done, you know what I mean, had all of those things and not wanted to be coached, you know, and not been coachable and thought she knew better than me, but she has never done that. And I just really admire that because she had all the reasons in the world to think that she knew better, and not once has she. And she's always willing to learn. On that, you mentioned two things, Allan, and I just want to touch on it because I believe, I'd love to know if you guys agree, the two things that stop people from, like, they start. I mean, when I think of how many people have come into our business and started with enthusiasm, and now I have no idea where they are, and it's like heartbreaking to me. And when I think about me, I'd love what you guys think. It's like two things, is that they think that this is a get rich quick scheme. So they get in and then they expect, I don't know, in a month's time that they're going to be earning $5,000 a month, and that's not the reality. So their expectations are extremely skewed. And the second thing is that they expect everyone they speak to say yes. So it's like they come in, they're not earning $1 million in 5 seconds, and people are actually saying, no, I'm not interested in Isagenix. And those two things take them out, and they lose their passion and excitement. So I wanted to ask you guys, I know you're going to agree with what I just said, but really, what can you say? There's so many new people on this call who are experiencing, you know what, I'm not earning what I thought I would be, or I just spoke to someone and I've had 5 no's, and I know I've had all those no's. I know you guys have, but for the new guys on the call, it's like, how can we help them to see what this really is and how long the plan is and really what is going to happen?
Yeah.
Good question. You want to go first?
No, you're right.
I was going to say, I kind of know where Lari will end up going with this herself, so I'll go somewhere different. The first one is that we've only been in this business for 4 years. And I say only is that, as you guys heard, our mindset around was we were literally, like Lari mentioned it before, is probably number 4, was that whatever it takes attitude, is that we had a whatever it takes attitude. We were willing to just do whatever it takes to reach our goals. And our 5-year plan was to be earning more. And I'm saying just more. It wasn't like we had this great vision to be earning the income that we're earning now than what our wages were, to create a life of more choice, flexibility. Probably flexibility was the big one for us, even though in our own mind we still thought we'd be working the hours. But saying that is that we've only been in for 4 years. So we haven't seen, or we're only now starting to see the stories of the people that have actually stuck in this game. And it breaks my heart every time I see someone quit at like 6 months, 2 years, 2.5 years, because they're like, it's not happening for me. It breaks my heart because what we're starting to see now, I'll use a great example, and I'm sure I wouldn't say this without them knowing that it'd be totally okay to say. Kylie and Jason Galvin are 2 of our best friends, and they joined with us. They were one of the first people to ever join with us. They've been building this business for 3.5 years. They struggled for 3 years. And when I'm talking about struggles, they've had all sorts of struggles in those 3 years. They held the vision that at some stage this was going to work because they believed it. They saw it. They borrowed our belief. And it was heart-wrenching for Lari and I watching it because we were just like, I don't understand how they don't have a business builder. They're doing everything right. Like, we know the conversations, we're seeing the conversations, we're helping them with their people.
They're even better at 3-way calls than we are.
It was like, they're better than us at majority of the things. It's just heart-wrenching that they're not actually creating it. What is it? And it was just the way it is. It's like, yes, they weren't as fast as us or enrolling as many people as us. And in the last 6 months, it's gone from them literally cycling a couple of times a week. And at any stage they could have quit, but they made a commitment that they'd never quit. And now, last week, I think they were the 4th highest cyclers in Leaders in Action. They're earning the income. They're starting to earn an income now that they're like, wow, this is so great that we never stayed in it. And they've now got 4 people that are legitimately having great success building this business, running. And you know what? I would never, ever have blamed them if they quit. Like, I would have been the first one to say, you know what, I get it. Maybe it's not your thing. But they held that vision. So I just wanted to share that more for the story of going. And that's one example, but we're starting to see more and more of these examples the longer that we've been in the business, because we're not like you said, Crystal, we went crazy. Like, the work ethic and the time and the energy and everything we put into it reflected the results we had. And majority of people don't do that. So it's awesome that we're starting to see these results of the time and the energy. So I just wanted to share that story. That's if I had to say one thing, what was it? I'd just be like, no matter what pace you're going, no matter whatever, just in your own mind, commit to building this business once and never ever quit. Commit once and then you're okay. You'll never, because I can't imagine what some of these people that have quit at the 2-year mark, when Kylie and Jay are earning $1 million.
We've actually got the story as well about someone that did quit at the 2-year mark. And recently, Catch tells the story in Leaders in Action, somewhere there in Alive. He was traveling back from Isa Derby in America and was talking to this exec who's absolutely smashing it out of the park. Like, she's
killing it.
She's killing the business, loving on it. you know, everything's
She's got
happening.
a massive team growing.
Massive team, great, like lots is going on. And he said, oh, how did you get started? And she said, well, my friend was telling me about it for like 2 years.
And like really good friends.
And then, you know, I was like, oh, you know, maybe one day, but it just wasn't timing. And then
I was ready.
Yeah, I was ready. She was doing some other network marketing thing. And so I just, you know, found someone local, and I don't really know them, but I signed up with them.
Yeah. It's
just heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
I mean, that's just for you guys. Well, what Allan and Lari have done is the exception to the rule. So whenever we share their story, I want you to understand that they're the 1%ers in network marketing who come in and create $1 million income in a matter of, you know, 3 years. Most people, and this is why I love what you guys are sharing, because I'm seeing it more myself. We're a good example. We started 5 months after Allan and Lari. No, 6 months after Allan and Lari. And our businesses are very, very different financially. And you know what I mean? So, but what I'm seeing a lot of now is that what happens is we see the Allans and Laris and we think that's the normal. And then we compare ourselves to that. And there's not enough education around that. That's incredible, but it's the 1%ers. And that's not the normal. For a lot of us, everyone, and I love this, and you guys have touched on it, is that we all come in with a different skill set and a different mindset and a different level of personal development. Allan and Lari had really been stripped of everything prior to coming into Isagenix, and they had already spent thousands, and I'm not talking a couple, I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars in personal development to rewire their money mindset, to change their mindset about them thinking they're failing and things like that. So they had done a lot of work on themselves. And what happens is we compare to them, but don't compare to the actual work that they've done. And we think, oh my God, I'm failing at this because Allan and Lari are doing X, Y, Z, or not. There's so many Allans and Lari. So what I would, and for these people who are in Isagenix now, like the Galvins are such beautiful people, and it's so incredible that they've stuck through for as long as they have, but it's all happening for them now. So I think that the thing that I'm hearing most is that it's like that belief, like when I started, I know Allan and Lari are the same, I knew that if I worked hard, nothing would stop me from being successful. Now, I didn't put a time frame on that though, right? I knew if I worked hard, nothing could stop me from having the success that I wanted to have. But I didn't say in 6 months, otherwise I'm quitting. You know, I just kind of left it. If I work hard, I'll achieve what I want to achieve no matter what. And what happens is we put a time frame on it of like in 3 months or 6 months. And the reality is if you understand any business model, which I know some of you will, you may not understand the network marketing, is that you cannot, none of you would go and invest $100,000 or $150,000 into a franchise and say, if in 3 months I haven't made my money back or earning 30 grand a year, I'm going to quit. You know what I mean? So it's the same principles apply, but the thing is you only invested a couple of $100. So that long-term vision, and Allan always, and Lari always trains on this, it's like long-term vision. Just like if you were to invest $500,000 into a franchise, the Domino's franchise tomorrow, you would be hoping that in 3 years you might be making a profit. You know what I mean? And all the money you're earning, you're going to put back into your business to grow your business. Isagenix is no different, except for your investment $600, and you're only investing in a little bits of money into events to grow and learn the skills, which is all going to, you're going to earn again. So I love those stories, and I love the girls, and I'm so happy for them. I wanted to ask you, Allan and Lari, because you guys have created this amazing thing, but I wanted to ask you, how many people have you actually personally enrolled?
About 550.
Okay, again, that is not normal. They're like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. After dark, they go crazy. Just know that. 550 personally enrolled. Okay, and
you know what, too, Crystal? Like we probably make it look easier than it probably is. Like that's for better or for worse. Do you know what I mean? Like we do work all the time, and we stop to take a photo here and do this here. We do incredible, amazing things, and we just can do that. Like I just went and bought myself a scooter today, and the guy's like, "Are you just going to buy it?" Just like
he goes, he turns around. Larry's goes,
I'm like,
I'll buy it. And he goes, he turns around and he goes, you do realize it's $380? And Larry's like, what's your point?
I'm like, yeah, I want to buy it.
So it's kind of like,
he's like, you just want to test it a bit, or like you, and I'm just like, no. And I mean, that's the cool thing. Like, we can just do those things, and that's fantastic. But we still do work everywhere in between as well. But you know what? We love that too. We love it, and we've fallen in love with the process of it as well.
Fallen in love with wanting people to be successful too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Now the driver for us is actually facilitating others to achieve the same. It's purely
because we have the certainty. It's there. It's like we don't even have to borrow anyone's belief. It's like it's certain. If we can do it, then other people can do it. Maybe not in the same time frame as you said, but we have the certainty. So we're pretty passionate about having so many other people be able to do that as well.
That's amazing. I had 2 questions. Oh, sorry. I like the questions that, you know how like you plan your questions and you're interviewing, it actually just starts to flow. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm up to. But I wanted to ask you, so you've enrolled 550 people, right? But these guys literally went millionaire in 3 years. So for a lot of you on this call, that's not your goal. Do you know what I mean? Like, your money mindset actually isn't even at a level that can even fathom being a millionaire or earning that level of income, which is totally cool. For most of the people on the call, Allan, it's like $500 a month would make the biggest impact in our family's lives. Like, $500 a month would cover my mortgage. $500 a month would make me and my wife like each other more because we wouldn't fight so much about money. So for the guys on the call who are like, you know what, I just need to make a couple extra $100 a month, $1,000 a month, whatever it is, like, what would you say to them? Like, they don't need to enroll 550 people in 4 years. So like, for those guys, like, how many people do they need to focus on enrolling maybe every 30 days? What actions do they need to take to actually start working towards that level of income?
Great question.
Well, I'd go with Kathy Coover. She knows network marketing and businesses better than us, and there's definitely something to enroll 5 a month, right? Or you can break it down to 1 or 2 a week. You know, people say go, 2 a week.
Double PIBs, but
and eventually, if you actually continue to do that, you will, like, we've seen the numbers being broken down time and time again. And whether somebody joined like right back in the beginning or they joined as little as like 2 years ago, every single millionaire that's become an Isagenix millionaire, which, by the way, it doesn't mean that we earn $1 million a year. It means that we've
just yet.
But it means that we've been paid more than $1 million over that first 3 years, right? We're paid more than $1 million American. So that's actually what an Isagenix millionaire means. It's a little bit confusing. So, but anyway, what I was going to say is that you will become a millionaire from just those simple actions if you consistently, and that's the thing, like, that's all about the resiliency piece as well, right? Actually consistently enroll. So I'd be aiming for 5 a month.
Angus Love taught us, the former ANZ GM, he taught us something when he was still at Isagenix as the ANZ GM, and we've now got him as our personal business mentor, that there's a number that breaks down. So if somebody's looking to create financial freedom in the sense of generally this will equal a full-time wage or greater, is the number of 212. And that's like a key number. And the reason is that 212, is it? 212 is that it basically works out at 1 a week over 4 years. So that's pretty much the gist of it, is that, and then when you break those numbers down, it leads to you being an executive and a steady executive and all the rest of it. So, and you know what? It doesn't matter how fast or slow you get there. And as you said, Crystal, like I could rattle off name after name after name of people that are earning just a few $100s. And I say just, but it's so impactful for them. And what would I recommend for them to do? It's really just find that extra hour or two. Like, to me, anyone that says I don't have the time, I'm like, no, you don't have the priority on creating what you desire. That's the difference. Everyone has the time. I don't care. You spend 3 minutes on the toilet, there's 5 texts you can send. I don't care. You got the time somewhere throughout your day. Anyone that tells me they don't have the time, I'm like, it's just not a priority for you. You just don't have the desire. That's the difference maker. So I'm like, find an extra hour in the day. Give up something. Stay up an extra hour longer. It's not like you have to do it forever. But if you truly, truly want to create that, it doesn't take that much extra. And if you're already creating a couple $100 a week and you want to create more, then find that extra hour again. So I listen to Michael Klaus, and he's always harping on about it. He says the average person works for around 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And you know what? I get it. Some people work more. Look, I was one of those. Most people sleep for 7 or 8 hours a day. The big difference maker between us, for you, Crystal, and for everyone else is what happens in those other 8 hours. And for some, I get it. As I said, it's 4 hours. What happens in those other 8 hours each day, and what happens on the weekends? What happens on the Saturday when you decide that, again, I get it because we're family people, but if you're really, really struggling and you can't even afford to take your kids on a holiday, I get that the desire is to have the time and everything with them on the weekend. But it's about balance. Rather than going out all day and spending all day at the beach for 10 hours and doing that with the kids, go to the beach and spend 2 or 3 hours with them because they'll appreciate that quality time, and then spend 3 or 4 hours on your Isagenix. Or put them in the park.
You can sit them in the park and you can play.
While you're present.
I was working as the kids are at the park today, and you can totally do that. In fact, you can get your kids involved in doing certain things. If you've got a whatever it takes attitude, you'll involve them. It's actually more fun, and it adds to your business. And you can always, if something goes wrong, you blame it on the kids. It's cool.
Yeah. So that would be like for anyone that's wanting to create a few $100s, even just to start. I'm like, the reality is, if you don't want to do anything, like you don't want to make any kind of sacrifices, it's hard to genuinely put it out there that you deserve to have something for nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've at least got to put in some time, energy, effort to create that kind of residual income. And I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, this is just to put into perspective. She was talking to me and saying, I'm really struggling. She's been in the business for over 2 years, and she's like, for some reason, I've got it in my mind, I'm really struggling with enrolling. And everyone goes through this. And I'm like, how long since you've enrolled someone? She's like, 4 months. I'm like, awesome. Okay, cool. That's great. 4 months. There's obviously something going different because you used to be able to enroll people. And I said, rather than focusing in on the fact that you can't enroll people, how much income have you made over the last 4 months? I'm like, how many times have you cycled? Is there a week you haven't cycled? So those that don't know what a cycle is, it's $60 for earning your residual income from people reordering. And she's like, I haven't. I'm like, what's the lowest week you had? And she said 3. I'm like, so the lowest week you've had is $180 in the last 4 months. And even though you are struggling to enroll right now and you're struggling in this business and you've been in 2 years, you are making a minimum of $180 a month. And I know for a fact up to $720 a month. A week, I should say, a week. I'm like, that's the power of this business, because at some stage she went through the sacrifices and did it. And while she may not be in that same mindset now, things will start to happen for him. So, yeah, I know I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, but it's another great example of when you just stay in this business, what it can actually create. So,
yeah.
And obviously we talked about some of the conversations and stuff, and she's got this week, it looks like she's got a couple of people that could potentially enroll. So
that's so good. I think, I think for a lot of people on this call as well, there's all these different skills you need to learn, right? But I think if everyone on this call actually focused on because the first skill you need to learn above everything is actually to enroll somebody, to be able to get somebody excited and have them say, I want to do Isagenix. So before you think about, cycles, or how am I going to create consultants, or how am I going to do all this other stuff, or how am I going to get to executive? I mean, at first you actually have to fill your funnel with having conversations and actually learn the skill of enrolling somebody and then giving someone a great experience. And then once you've done that and you've enrolled some people, then you can go, okay, now I'm going to focus on how am I going to, get these people to share the vision and get these people excited to want to share to get my first consultant. So it doesn't have to be like, you're going to see people go really fast and crazy, but the reality is everyone just needs to focus on learning the skill of enrolling people. And Allan spoke about enrolling 5 a month, which is awesome, right? And that should be everyone's goal. But the reality is that you could spend 3 months talking to people and having no one enroll. You know what I mean? Like, because you're going to first have to learn the skill of talking to people. So for some people, they're going to enroll straight away. It's going to come easy. They've got a different skill set. And I watch really great people come in, and they might speak to, let's say, 10 people a week. for 3 months and before people actually start to pull out their credit card and say, I'm ready. So I think if everyone stops looking for like the instant gratification, the instant income, the instant this, and understand that this is a business that is a skill set, which is so much fun, and you just treat it like a fun thing versus putting all this pressure on ourselves that we have to reach a certain target or do this, and focus on the basic skill of just talking to people and helping people enroll. That's where everyone needs to start. I mean, because most of this call, we've got so many amazing, like, so many faces I don't even know. So I'm like, there's a lot of new people on this call. It's great. Okay, we've got a few minutes. I had 3, but we'll see how we go. I wanted to ask you guys, so what do you think are the top 3, just 3 things that people need to do to actually enroll, get into action, or get back into action? So specific IPA actions, because people want to know, well, yeah, okay, I've got an hour, but like, what do I actually do in that hour?
Add value to people's lives is where it's all at for me. So while Allan was really getting into conversations with people in the beginning, I was really seeding people by firstly adding value to their lives and getting into good conversations. And that's actually that's what I love about this business, because you can have so much fun doing that. People love to be thought of. You know, you send them a picture saying, oh my God, this is the book that you gave me for my 13th birthday, you know, and they get all excited. Or, you tell them how special they really are to you. And it's always coming from I wouldn't send it to them if it wasn't real. Do you know what I mean? Or I wouldn't contact them if it wasn't real. But I believe that by adding value, then you're going to do what Allan mentioned before about kind of, you know, he was trying to make them, like, give them that surprise thing. So I'd be trying to add value to them because, as I said, like, I'm a little bit more of a seeder. So that would be one thing I'd do. And you do have, you know, the direct.
I would, be like direct. I would test and measure as well. So here we are, like, really the 3 things to enroll people. It's all action orientated with conversation. So I'm with Lari. I was terrible at this, and it changed my follow-up to a whole new level. Is that when I started realizing that I was being so direct sometimes with people, which was fine because I learned, and it did work for some people, don't get me wrong. But then I had to balance back to Lari in the sense of adding value and how I followed people up and that kind of stuff, and using the initial memory and creation of that state change following up. But
as friends, you can go straight into
totally
to us, though. You've got a relationship with them, and you know, just make sure you're coming from a place of intention. Which, why wouldn't you be anyway? But you know,
I would. The second thing is you've got to test and measure. So I would be tracking what I'm doing. Sam, what I mean by test and measure is that track the number of conversations you have, but in particular, you just need to use things. So if you see a 5-minute training from a live, let's say Crystal jumps on a live, or a business and it works. It's not necessarily going to work for you, but it's worth seeing if it's going to. So we had a recent training with Angus, and he was talking about the thing that unlocks people in this business is when they realize that there's things that work universally for everybody, and there's things that work for individuals. But the only way you're going to find out what works for you is to try different things. So if Crystal says, hey, I've just sent this message out to a whole bunch of people and it's working, they're coming back to me. First thing I'm doing when I get off that live is I'm sending 10 of those messages. I'm going to send 10 and see what happens. And then it's like some of the responses back, it's like, far out. I didn't think it was going to work, and it kind of didn't feel right for me at first, but I get it. So if you really want to enroll people and you're not enrolling people, you need to start trialing different things and different methods, because the chances are you're still doing the exact same things over and over again. And that's why the lady that I had the conversation with who used to enroll hadn't enrolled for 4 months. All we talked about was the different things that when she hopped off this phone call, different messages that she could send, the different conversations she could send to change that game. So that would be my biggest thing, is like, just listen to podcasts, action it. Send 5 or 10 of those messages, do 5 or 10 of those phone calls, see if it works. If it works, go with it. If it doesn't work, change it up.
The other thing is too, Crystal, I think it's a given and we say it, but I don't think people are actually doing it because of different fear things, is to firstly add people to the cleanse page. So you guys have got amazing supportive page, Cleanse with Friends. I think, and maybe some of your personally enrolled think this too, by the way, because I'm hearing this feedback that some people think that if I put someone on that page, then they're going to hate me, or somebody else is going to cross prospect them, which is, by the way, it's never ever happened, right? Or because of the way it's set up. And perhaps we need to let everyone know that with the admin, we can see exactly what goes on, who added people, and we can check all of that out. So it doesn't happen, but for some reason, I met someone the other day who's actually enrolled quite a few people and she never adds anybody to the Facebook page. I'm like, if you started actually adding them to the Cleanse with Friends equivalent page, then imagine what you could actually achieve. Like, she's adding them to them once she's enrolled them, right? To actually use the resources we've got, those tools. So as well as, send them a video, send them a photo,
before and after photos,
one that's relevant to them. We noticed at one point we were struggling to enroll a little bit, and we went back and said, what are we doing differently? We're getting to their why, like their reason why they want to do this, and we're talking about that. We're still sending them a video, a short video, and we're setting the follow-up appointment. We're talking to them, we're adding them to the cleanse page, we're doing the follow-ups, what's the missing gap, and we realised, we've stopped sending before and after photos.
Stop sending our own, stop sending ones that were associated to them.
If it was someone was getting married or someone that was, pregnant, we started sending those photos again, and we noticed that there was a bit of a difference. And as Allan said, it could be universal, it could have been just for us, it could have even been timing at the time, but it was something that, those sorts of things, I think we take as a given that I thought that's
the cleanse page is massive. Taryn's on this call, and it's a great example of, just quickly, I know obviously looking at time and stuff like that, Crystal, sorry, we don't want to totally overrun your time on your call, even though we're happy to, is a great example is, I was talking to Taryn today, and I absolutely love, firstly, the thing that I love is that Taryn actually reached out. And again, she just edified. She said, look, I know you guys are super busy, and if I'm bugging you, ignore me, or whatever it was.
Firstly, we've always got time for people in our team, always. We do say no to people in other people's teams because we know that we need to keep that time for people in our team, but then our own team sometimes doesn't even reach out to us. If I was smashed with three-way calls every day of the week, I would be very, very happy.
If we had to try and juggle it.
I honestly, I wouldn't have a problem with it. So please don't feel that you need to even say it, really. So we'll tell you if it's a problem.
So I was having a conversation with Taryn, and we were talking about how she could respond. And then it came to kind of like a bit of an obstacle. And one of the things that I shared, and then Taryn was like, oh my God, that's so simple, but so effective. And I don't know how you've gone with it, Taryn, but we'll find out, is that I said, use your cleanse page and use the network, because you guys have such an awesome team atmosphere within that Cleanse with Friends, and so many diverse success stories, that I was like, post up in there the objection. So she's talking to somebody and they really want it, but then money became the objection. But don't talk about money as the objection. Talk about the benefits as the objection. So in effect, this person was struggling to have results in the gym. They've been doing it for some time. They want to do a bikini model contest or whatever it was. Price was the objection. However, rather than focusing in on the price, focus in on what this person wants. So I said, post in the cleanse page, hey guys, look, did anyone else find before they were in Isagenix that they were working out hard at the gym and struggling to actually get the results they were desiring? And once you started Isagenix, what did you find? I'd love you guys to help me out because there's a friend that's looking at getting started on Isagenix. Of course, that person's in the page. You can let them know you posted it. So it's not kind of like you're side tracking it or anything. You just message them and say, hey, you know what? I just wanted to see what other people had to say. So I've made this post. Check it out. You'll get some opinions off other people. So it's exactly what Lari said. It's just using what you've got and test and measuring that kind of stuff as well.
Using those tools is key. Hey, you guys would have noticed too, if you post something in your Cleanse with Friends page, then everybody gets a notification from that you've added to that page. So you can have real ownership for that, and you can purposely post things that some of your prospects are looking at right now, thinking about. It could be that they're runners, and you say, hey, I'm just curious, who use these products for running and got a great experience, and then you get that third, fourth, fifth validation right there. And I found those posts. We've had people sign up purely from seeing some of those posts. Like we might tag them in it, and
that was a massive one for us in the early days. We would that was like our go-to close. Was when we had somebody close and we knew what benefit they wanted. It was like, put it in the page, 6 other people respond, bang, they're enrolling. It was like just the absolute go-to close. Silent, stealth close.
Sorry, mate, my line keeps dropping out. Can you guys?
It might be us.
it could be us.
That's so amazing. I love that. And one of the things that I just, when you guys were just sharing all that I just want to touch on is, when I asked Allan and Lari what the top 3 attributes, they came back to being coachable. And that just all came back to all of that stuff. Because a lot of people, and I'm sure Allan and Lari have seen this, and I know I've seen it, is they start this business and we lay out exactly what the next step is, exactly what to do. Like, say this, message this person, be on this call, go to this event, like everything that your leader upline or sponsor is kind of coaching you. It's not just fluff, it's the tracks. And it's interesting when you said someone was not adding people to Cleanse with Friends. You know what I mean? Like that person is going, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, but I'm not going to do this, this, and this because there's something about that for me. And then they wonder why they don't have the same success as others. Just this week, someone was, I've always gone about welcome calls. When you're new, do a 3-way welcome call because I can talk about the income, I can talk about all of this stuff which might feel icky for you when you start your best friend. I can have that conversation and not be icky. And yet the amount of people that I will say to me, I asked and they said no, they're fine. So like there's 2 people that entered my business this week, and because the person in between didn't set the tone of what must happen, there's 2 people who started who didn't get any setup call whatsoever from anybody. And that, do you know what I mean? And I just, what can I do? I just like, okay. You know what I mean? Because they're not really interested in income, but it's not even about that. It's like, if you're going to share Isagenix with someone, you have a responsibility to ensure they have an incredible experience. So those steps and all those things, adding them to Cleanse with Friends, doing a welcome call, doing 3-way calls, going to events, it's not fluff. It's legitimate stuff that needs to happen in order for you to learn, grow, have people have a great experience, and then be able to share Isagenix going on. So coachable, that, this is like, yeah, absolutely. I've got 2 more questions. We'll make them really quick, right? First thing I know is, I know you guys did a lot of personal development. I know for me, when this started, I had no idea what personal development was. I really learned about it through Isagenix. So I wanted to know, for a lot of the new guys, myself included, where would you start? Like, what would be the first book that you would read, or the first podcast that you would listen to that they can action this week to start working on their mindset?
It really does depend on the person, Crystal, and what they're interested in. And if you're willing to do push-ups to get fit, then do push-ups. If you're willing to go to the gym to get fit, what you're going to do is probably a better question than what's right for me, because I think you should be guided by what you're willing to do as well. But the great thing about Isagenix is, and we had someone over from ex-Amway, he was in Amway for 6 years and he made less money than what he has in the first month of Isagenix. Crazy, right? But he's stuck with Amway for 6 years.
And he's gone, I'm in for 6 years with Isagenix. I'm going to give it 6 years. Let's see what happens. And I'm like, that's a fair time frame. And he's already, as Lari said, he's made more money already in a month in Isagenix than he did in 6 years in Amway. And he's like, wow, I know it's going to be a lot longer than 6 years. This is it.
But it was interesting because his personal development, like he was talking the talk, right? He's clearly, but he had to pay for all of that with Amway. They pay for so much training, and we've got so much awesome training within our company, free. So if you don't have money to invest in some of the courses that we did originally, I recommend them at some point in your journey if you're interested, but it may not be for you. And you can get so much free stuff online. Like, how good is TED Ed? TED Talks online, and you can find somebody that you resonate with, go and follow them on Facebook, and get little bits of inspiration on your way, like on your journey. I started originally with Tony Robbins with Unleash the Power Within.
Awaken the Giant Within.
Oh yeah. Is that what it's called? Awaken the Giant Within. That was my very first person. Well, maybe not. Actually, you reminded me the other day, Crystal. I read all those Conversations with God book like years ago. I mean, that's a little bit more of a but that was kind of the first personal development book that I read.
I've just dropped that. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I think it's you guys. Can you guys hear me?
Drop out?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Can you hear us? Sorry.
Are we back?
Back.
I would say two things for me would be, one is that you've got to go to University in Action in Melbourne. And I get it because, you know, when I said that, there was probably a couple of people on this call watching the replay that just went, I can't get there. And I'm like, you know what? Again, it's like you can get there. It's just that right now it's probably not a priority to you. So it's kind of like weighing it up and going, do I want to make a change to whatever that pain is? Because I will guarantee, like, hands down, we have had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people do University in Action. And come Sunday night, not a single person has ever turned around and gone, well, that was a waste of a weekend. Thanks, you asshole, for forcing me to spend my money and fly down there and pay for accommodation. Like, never. And you know what? I'd be the first one, if anybody ever went to a University in Action and they hated it, I'd be the first one to say, here's your accommodation, here's your flight money back. Look, I'm sorry, I'm blown away that you didn't love it. Everyone turns around and goes, oh my God, that's game changing. And as David Wood with, you know, obviously for you guys that have seen or haven't seen Vanuatu and the Triple Got, we've got David Wood going there for a week. He'll blow your mind when you're at University in Action. He'll blow your mind from a starting personal development point of view. If you don't have accommodation, Lari and I bought, because we had an opportunity through our Platinum A-Core membership, to get some cheap accommodation at the venue, which is the Mercure. And we've still got some rooms that are available within that because we bought them in advance because we knew people would join in last minute as they do. And it's $50 per room per night. It's shared with 2 or 3 people, depending on what it is.
It's dirt cheap, so it's not
So
really.
it's like you can go down for 2 nights for $100 staying at the venue at the Mercure.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to take advantage of any of those rooms, if you're going to go, use your coupon when you joined or find someone that had a coupon to get $50 off. So the ticket's $150.
And
so
that's a cheap personal development course. Plus, it's within the field of stuff that you're doing as well. So you can apply it. And often people do all this personal development and they don't use it. But you've got the chance to be shown how to use it in your...
It's way better. We used to pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for a 2-day weekend in personal development. And we didn't even know what our vehicle really was. It was eBay or it was a sports store company. And it's $199 and you got a $50 coupon. It's like crazy. That would be the first one. The second one would be, for me, it was really Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. If you're struggling on a mindset, like if you've been 20 years and you've never broken above earning $1,000 a week or whatever if you know that you're capped, you've never exceeded that mark, just go and read Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, T. Harv Eker, read it a couple of times or have it on audio. That was a game changer for us. And that would be, and Tony Robbins, David Wood was actually the lead trainer for T. Harv Eker for about 6 years. So, yeah, that would be my things. And Lari's was absolutely the Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within is a phenomenal personal development book too.
Yeah, I love that. I think that as I mentioned, that Allan and Lari did a lot of personal development, but just the amount of people that have come into our business and I've coached, I know Allan and Lari the same. The number one killer is people's mindset. You know what I mean? And really, they don't have the confidence. You know how Allan and Lari said they just went for it? Like when someone said, well, what are you doing? Nothing held them back from just going blur, you know what I mean? And then reviewing that and going, okay, that was really shit. Let me try a different approach. So, but what a lot of people do in this business is they're frozen in fear of even having the conversation. It's like, all you need to do is tell people what the products have done for you. And when they say, sounds great, so how does it work? Then you go, I don't know. And get me, Allan, Lari, Dan, PJ, someone on a 3-way call and let us do all the hard work. It's so easy to build this business. But people make all these things up in their head about 3-way calls. There's nothing weird about a 3-way call, and there's nothing weird about it. If you're doing this business and you're not doing the personal development to break through your limiting beliefs, to improve your mindset, you're going to be stuck for a really long time going nowhere. It's like side and side. It's like the most important thing. And it's not just here. If you want to have success in any area of your life, you want to improve your relationships. You want to, even if you weren't interested in Isagenix and you wanted to increase your income, get another job, or improve your personal relationships, you would need to do personal development to do that. So UAA is a great event, but it's going to give you so many tools, not just to grow your Isagenix business, but also to develop and become the best version of you. How can you serve others if you are not the best version of you? You're going to find it quite difficult. So on that note, I just want to, I had one question. It's a quick one. I want to know, what's your biggest income earning month to date?
Income 69,000
for the month. It's pretty good. Chump, that's what more than what most people are earning in an entire year's salary. And with hard work, resilience, persistence, being coachable, and putting in the hard work, Allan and Lari have been able to create that in a short period of time. But we all have the same opportunity, but we're going to reach it at different times. Like, it might take me 10 years to reach that, whereas it took Allan and Lari 3-4 years. So thank you so much, Allan and Lari, for your time and your honesty and your transparency on this call. I mean, every time I hear your story, it's amazing, but I know these guys have gotten so much out of it. I can see in the comments thread. So if you all want to unmute and just give your...
Just quickly, I just want to say, Rob Walmsley, mate, that is the biggest chest in the UK. Dead set, you are a beast.
He's having his chicken eggs. Look at it. Whoop, whoop. Amazing. Amazing.
It's been our pleasure. Honestly, Crystal, we love working with you. We love working with so many of your team. You guys are awesome.
And I want to know, Dan, did you pick up some nice boots from Kinky Boots?
It was amazing.
Such a good show. Anyway.
just because so many of you guys on the call, just quickly, for a lot of you don't know who I am, because I can see faces, I don't know who you are, and you probably maybe don't know who Allan and Lari are. So just so you know, you can reach out directly to Allan and Lari. Like, they are here to help you and mentor you. I'm here to help and mentor you. So yeah, don't feel that there's like this. Allan and Lari are like the most humble Isagenix millionaires. They want to serve you guys. Like, their goal now that they've created the income is actually to help as many people in their downline create that income. They have got so much spare time. They're always saying they want more three-way calls. I'm the same. So please don't feel like you cannot, just because there's no relationship or connection there right now, that you cannot reach out. You absolutely can. I know that we'd all be dying to hear from you and to serve you more and help you along your journey. Thank you so much for everyone's time. Have an amazing week. Vanuatu challenge, we've got till 2 p.m. tomorrow. So please be messaging your PE, getting those 100 BV plus orders in. If you haven't done one yourself, make sure you do. And on Monday night, Allan and Lari are going to draw a winner. Someone is winning a trip to Vanuatu or $2,000 cash. So if you're not having that conversation with your PE and they find out on Tuesday, they see the post, they're going to be so pissed off with you that you took away the opportunity for them to win $2,000. So message your peeps. Bye, guys.
See you guys.
Thanks, Al. Thanks, La. Good night.
See you guys.
See you guys.